What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Opinions of a D2 Dropout. It's been a while. I started a new job. Work schedule was all over the place. Finally got my schedule yesterday. Looks like Wednesday I'm going to be able to record and upload the pod. So this is a new date, which actually works out perfectly with tomorrow starting the NFL season with my Detroit Lions facing the defending Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be a good game. We got some breaking news going on in that game. I'm going to cover that, but I feel like baseball's still the main sport right now. And honestly, football with me making the picks later, I'd rather just combine it. Uh, Travis Kelsey hyperextended his knee yesterday. Sounds like he's doubtful, but could play. So sounds like a game time decision. And then news reports today say that Chris Jones is ready to play if he can get a new long term deal. Both of those could definitely swing the game one way or another. I know yesterday Vegas moved the line from 6.5 to 5.5 points. 5.5, listening to the ticket for the past 3 years, is the devil's number, as they call it. The reason that it's the devil's number is because whenever a team is favored by 5.5, they end up losing the game. So it's going to be interesting. I'll definitely give you my thoughts on that game coming up. But let's talk about the game that the league that's coming down to the wire ish. So right now, MLB, we're 3 weeks away from the postseason. Like, season's winding down. Looking at the AL East, Baltimore has a 3.5 game lead. Looks pretty certain that they're gonna make the playoffs. So far for the American League, only 2 teams have officially been eliminated. That being the Kansas City Royals and the Oakland A's, who are trying to move. Those are the only 2 teams that has officially been eliminated from playoffs in both the American and the National League. Hell, my Detroit Tigers, who are 9.5 back, somehow have a chance. I don't see how, but I'll take it. Minnesota looks to be running away with the Central, 7 games up. Honestly, by the looks of their schedule, it's going to be smooth sailing for them. The AL West, that's going to be a battle. You have the Astros leading it, Seattle a game behind, and the Rangers 2 games behind. Wildcard standings, the Rays technically hold the first one. Seattle's a half game ahead of Toronto, so they're holding the second. And Toronto's holding the last spot, half a game ahead of the Rangers. Boston's 5 games back. Could make a push if they get it right. Yankees 7.5, they're done. Guardians 11, nah. Angels 13. They literally bought at trade deadline too. My Tigers 13.5, and then the White Sox are 24, so they're not even going to be in the hunt. Hopping over to the NL side, looks like the Atlanta Braves are all but clinched the East. They're 14.5 games ahead of the Phillies, so I don't see the Braves fluttering enough. Milwaukee leads the Central with 2.5 games over the Cubs, and then Cincinnati's 5.5 back, so have a chance. St. Louis and Pittsburgh, they were in the hunt. Pittsburgh honestly looked good at the start and just fell off. Leading the West is the Dodgers, no surprise, by 14 games over the Diamondbacks. Reason their jersey still hangs because they're in the chance. I'll tell you that with the wild card. San Francisco's 15 back. Padres looked like we're destined to make a good run, 19.5 back. But the reason I kept the Diamondback jersey up is the NL wild card. So the Phillies are 4.5 games up above the cut line. The Cubbies are 3 games above the cut line. Cincinnati holds the final spot with a 73-68 record. The Marlins are half a game back. The Diamondbacks are 1 game back. San Francisco's 2 games back. Padres outside shot are 6.5 back. So there is a possibility that they could, if they get the ship right, they could go. But honestly, I think it's San Francisco, Diamondbacks, Marlins, Reds, Cubs, Phillies fighting out. But a lot more impressive than a 4-team battle for 3 spots when you have 6 teams battling for 3 spots. So, other than that, not much news baseball wise. Just a long season. Um, Looking at the top headlines on ESPN. Fortunately for McCutcheon of the Pirates, Achilles tear ends his season. Altuve last night made history, hitting 3 home runs and 3 at bats in the first 3 innings of the game. Last night, uh, Santana hit his 400 career home run against the Tigers, which ended up being the game-winning home run for the Yankees against the Tigers. MLB is kind of winding down. There's not many moves. Like for the Tigers, we are calling up the young guys. We have a roster spot empty. We have 39 on the 40 man. So it's kind of odd. But right now it's more get the young guys in. College football. We had a big upset on Saturday, 2 days ago, where Duke beat number 9 Clemson. Other than that, I'm not really going to cover college football until we get closer to the college football rankings, because like it's cupcake games right now. Like we have a few games that were good, but otherwise, like number 1 Georgia playing UT Martin, 148-7. U of M, my school that I follow, 30-3 over Eastern Carolina. Ohio State, they played a conference opponent, Indiana, 23-3. Not really good games right now for college. It's more beat down on the opponents. Yeah. 4th place Alabama, 56-7 over Middle Tennessee. On Saturday, USC number 6 over that week. 56-28 over San Jose State. Notre Dame 42-3 over Navy. Like, and it's just decent games. Switching over to hockey, we're still 2 weeks away from the first preseason game, which is the Kings versus my Coyotes down in Australia, which should be a good game. Well, it is preseason, so it's not going to be a good game, but a good enough game to get the NHL a better footprint. Rumor around the Red Wings, my Eastern Conference team, is Patrick Kane has expressed interest in playing with the Brinket again. From all I'm hearing is Kane's rehab's on track and he's getting back to his old self. So if he wants to come to Detroit, by all means, I know you're a former Blackhawk. I hated your guts. But if you're going to make it that the Wings make the playoffs this year, by all means, I will bring you in and let's go. There's been a lot of news surrounding the Coyotes today. So yesterday, domestic violence charge against minority owner Borroway have been dropped. So the NHL suspended him indefinitely March 23rd. So he's a 5% owner of the Coyotes. Seems to be good. Those charges are dropped. We need less bad publicity, please. But today, the Coyotes, not the Wings. Today, the Coyotes have announced that they have re-signed GM Armstrong to a contract extension to Bill Armstrong. Trying to see, he was heading into his 4th year. It doesn't say how long the extension is. The terms were not disclosed, but the Coyotes have been on the upside. Trying to see anything else newsworthy to talk about for the NHL. Doesn't really look like it. NHL is kind of quiet since it is the off season. NBA, I'm not as I've said before, we will never talk about the NBA here. But heading, I want to talk about NASCAR for a bit. We're in the playoffs. I know I didn't do a race review just because it was late. I couldn't actually watch the race because of work. So I'm not going to do a race review for a race I haven't watched because that's just not fair to you guys. I can't really give you my opinion. So, but I do want to talk about what I've seen. Um, so we had Carl Larson win. He moves on. He's locked in the next round, which is good. The standings, we have Christopher Bell, who honestly looked good for a little bit. Only have a 1 point lead. Yikes. Bubba's only 1 point out. Harvick 2. Stenhouse is 4. Michael McDowell, after getting involved in a wreck that wasn't his fault, is 19 back. Logano's up by 3. But looking at if Byron can score stage points at Kansas, he's going to be locked in. He's plus 45 right now. Tyler Reddick's plus 30. Might not be able to lock himself in at Kansas, but should feel pretty comfortable if he gets stage points at Bristol. Chris Buescher and Hamlin are both at plus 27. Truex plus 25. Kyle Busch is plus 20. Brad Keselowski 18. Ryan Blaney 16. And Ross Chastain at 13. So, looking at it, should be good. A lot of those drivers are comfortable. So, something I do want to talk about. NASCAR needs to figure out what is committing to pit road. Because the whole thing with Harvick was committed to pit road, but then Reddick deciding last minute to just stop on track to try to make pit road and cause a Newman to spin. That's a bad look for NASCAR. Like, I get that we have the commitment line that, like, you hit that, you have to commit to pit road. But watching it, Harvick would have drove over the commitment box, which is a penalty on its own. Any point of the race, you hit the commitment box, it's a penalty. Like, I have a video up of them talking about it, and you already see Harvick's down on the racetrack. Like, he's committed. He is down off of the racing groove, technically the apron around Darlington. Watching. Newman's now backwards, and then the red light. What does Harvick to do? He turns right. He's gonna hit the commitment box, and that's a penalty any other lap. But yet there's a yellow line that stretches in the middle of turn 3. I feel like if you're below that, you should have the right to pit road and not have a penalty for being serviced. Like, I know it's a gray area. It is a very, very gray area. But maybe have it where if the time the red light came on, if you're already under the yellow line around Darlington, then you've committed. You have committed to pit road. You're able to service. Yes, you didn't reach the commitment line, but we gotta remember, like, these are 3-ton stock cars that we're trying to move around. Like, I don't know. That just bugged me. Bowman was at fault with the wreck with Suarez. No need to be like aggressively blocking, especially that early in the race. That was just Bowman not thinking. But I do agree with what Dale Jr. said on the Dale Jr. download. Suarez does hold a bit of the blame for his point of the wreck. He could have just wrecked Bowman and kept racing, but instead he ended up getting caught in it, trying to be the nice guy. So who knows? Um, F1 this past weekend, we saw Max Verstappen win 10 consecutive races. Woo! Don't get me wrong, I enjoy F1, but like, it's not fun. It's not fun to watch, to be honest. Like, it, like, how can you have fun watching a parade? That's all that is. It is a legit parade. Which, don't get me wrong, I love parades. They're fun, but don't call it racing if it's a parade. Let's just say that. Uh, uh, F1 elitists will tell you it's the pinnacle of motorsports. Yeah, if your team has a deep pocketbook and is willing to cheat, because let's talk about, even though this year they were under the cost cap, 2 years ago Red Bull was above the cost cap from catering. Uh-huh. Just saying that's a little fishy there. Okay, but let's get into the meat and bones of it. Let's get into the meat and bones of what I want to talk about today. Week 1 of the National Football League, the granddaddy of them all. Okay, I know the season starts tomorrow with the Detroit Lions, Kansas City Chiefs. I will cover that later. That is the game that I will be watching. We'll be live streaming it tomorrow night, probably the second half. We will see. But for right now, I want to discuss the other games. So right now, let's look down and break down one of the first games of Sunday. At Houston Texans versus the Baltimore Ravens. I think it's going to be pretty lopsided. Houston, they're going to be okay, I guess. I don't see how Houston wins on the road against Lamar Jackson, Odell Beckham Jr. That team just sounds so much better. Like, Houston's rebuilding. They definitely picked up a ton of great players this draft, but it's like, I gotta lean towards the Ravens. Like, their draft picks this year, I don't trust Stroud. I trust Will Anderson. That's a great pickup. Picking up him. Like, Houston's rebuilding, even though I don't trust the QB that they drafted. But then looking at the Ravens, like, Jim Harbaugh, like, better. You got Odell coming in to help Lamar. First round pick of Zay Flowers will help them. So we will see. I don't trust either quarterback, but Lamar's been in the league longer. I trust Jim, right? No, John. John's the one that's in the NFL. I trust him more than a team that's been flaunting for years. So that's my pick for. I'm gonna go Baltimore. That just seems to be the smarter pick. Heading to the next matchup, we have Battle of Ohio. The Cincinnati Bengals are heading to Cleveland to face the Browns. According to ESPN's matchup, Bengals are projected to win 59% to 40. That should be fun. Burrow is questionable. I don't think he will miss the start come Sunday. I think it's just more of a precaution from what I'm seeing. I hope he's not hurt because I have him in my 2 fantasy leagues. But yeah, he is expected to be a full participant today in practice. So, sounds like Burrows is ready to rock and roll. The Browns, Watson is so-called better than the guy in Houston. We will see. They did in the 3rd round draft a wide receiver and a defensive tackle. So we will see how the Browns do there. All their picks were late, so not a lot of great additions. Bengals just a better team. Got a defensive end, Miles Murphy. 2nd round pick of DJ Turner from Michigan for a corner. So Bengals picked up some good players. Took the Michigan punter in the 6th round. So I'm gonna go Bengals, especially if they do wear the white helmets. That'll be the all white for the Bengals with the white helmet. Just perfect. Now, a game I really don't want to pick the winner of, but it's pretty obvious. We have Tampa Bay heading up to the frozen tundra of Minnesota. You know, it's not really frozen right now since it's 90. So heading into the game, no players really questionable for the Vikings. So Vikings come in looking like the better team, even though I don't have them winning the North and I don't trust Kirk Cousins. It is Tampa Bay without Tom Brady anymore. That team is just bad. The Vikings drafted the wide receiver with their 1st round pick, and then the rest were just late round picks. So Vikings didn't really do much to increase. A lot of the defensive players left. I know they just signed TJ Hawkinson to an extension. Tampa Bay drafted a defensive tackle in the 1st round, an offensive tackle in the 2nd. Tampa's trying to rebuild. They're in rebuild mode, which is much to be expected. But unfortunately, I think the Purple People Eaters, Devil Incarnate, whatever you want to call that team that's in Minnesota, I think they're going to win it. That hurts saying. It really hurts me saying that they win. Heading to another 1 o'clock garbage game. We have the Saints versus the Titans. What is there really to talk about with either of these teams? They're both just fluttering. Like, I know Tennessee drafted Will Levis. It sounds like they're gonna stay with Tannehill to start the season. I'm not 100% sure. I can't find an article on like who they're gonna. Oh no, Malik Willis is their starter. My bad, not Tannehill. Like, that's what I find funny. You have Malik Willis, and yet you're gonna draft Will Levis in the 2nd round. Odd move by Tennessee. I have no idea what's going on there. I think you go over by the Saints, and Derek Carr is the QB. Don't get me wrong, Carr's a good QB, but it's like Michael Thomas might make a comeback. Got Latimer returning from an injury. They don't have Kamara for what is it, 4 weeks, I believe. So that's gonna be weird. So I'm honestly in this. It is in the Superdome. I think I'm gonna go Saints. I don't trust Will Levis. I mean Malik Willis. I don't trust Malik Willis. And Carr I at least trust a bit, seeing what he did with the Raiders, even in a lame duck year. Head into a garbage game of the NL West. I mean, not the NL West. Wow, the NFC West. You have Bryce Young leading his Carolina Panthers to facing Desmond Ridder and the Atlanta Falcons. Like, You're a betting man, and you're betting on that game. Best of luck to you. Falcons did draft Bijan Robinson 8th overall running back, so not bad. Um, Carolina, as we know, Bryce Young gonna be leading the team. Drafted number 1 overall. So we will see what Carolina does. But ESPN is saying Falcons win. Brian Burns for Carolina's questionable. It's linebacker. But like the Falcons, Cordell Patterson's questionable. Jeff Okudah's questionable. Okudah sucks, but he's questionable, and it's like it's in Atlanta. I think Bryce Young's gonna show out. I don't trust either team with a 10-foot pole, but the 30 birds will win. I just can't. Heading to another 1 o'clock game, we have Trevor Lawrence leading his Jacksonville Jaguars team up against division foes of the Indianapolis Colts. So I'm just gonna go flat out and say this. I'm already picking the Jags. That one's gonna be easy. The Colts, they drafted Anthony Richardson. I have not heard great things about him. Like, yes, he has the arm talent. He is inaccurate. I can't trust that as a QB. Like, that's just, you can't trust that arm. And going up against Trevor Lawrence and a Jacksonville team who honestly is heading in the right direction. Honestly, for Jacksonville, they're gonna dominate the South. Let's be honest. They're gonna be the rulers of that division. So that's an easy pick. Head into the second to last 1 o'clock game. We have PK's San Francisco 49ers and their uncertainty with Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, whoever their quarterback, going up against Kenny Pickett and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Thinking about it, I can't trust Kenny Pickett. I don't know why I can't. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm sick and tired of always seeing Pittsburgh do well. They drafted an offensive tackle in the first round this draft. San Fran, though. They draft Drake Moody in the 3rd round, which is odd. And I know, like, they just traded away Trey Lance because he's going to be the 3rd QB. It's like, Brock Purdy coming back from Tommy John, or even Sam Darnold running the team for a bit. I still think the 49ers are going to win. I can't trust. But Mike Tomlin's good. I don't. Tomlin will probably turn things around later. Now head into the last 1 o'clock game, which is absolute garbage, and that is the Arizona Cardinals without Kyler Murray for the entire season, going up against the Washington Commanders. This game. Oh, you want to talk about garbage game? Here you go. The Commanders, don't get me wrong, finished 8-8 and won last year. Like, not horrible. You got the Cardinals going in full tank mode. Let's say have the first 2 picks if them and the Texans suck. So the Cardinals, they're just going to be tank mode. Commanders, new ownership. I think the Commanders are going to win. Plus, who even is the Cardinals starter? Because they got released Colt McCoy, so it's like I, I don't know. Going Joshua Dobbs. Tell me you're tanking without saying you're tanking. Yikes. Well, heading into the 4 o'clocks, the 4:25 start times, we have Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos hosting Jimmy Garoppolo and the Raiders. Should be interesting. Broncos new head coach Sean Payton, Sean McDonald returning again for the Raiders. If I'm going to be honest, I think with it being a Denver home game, Sean Payton's first game as a head coach up in Denver, and if I'm not mistaken, I have heard Garoppolo's not exactly going to be 100% heading into this game. I'm going to be heading with Denver. As much as I hate Wilson and the stupid let's Broncos ride or let's ride or whatever the phrase for the Broncos is, I think I'm going to have to go there. I want the Raiders to do well. I do hate that they're in Vegas. So it's kind of also the other reason why I'm not really going to root for them. I know that's going to hurt Mikey. Sorry, man. But Sean Payton, he has to build the trust back up. But here, I think it's going to be a lot easier for them. Heading in to the next game, we have maybe Tua. I'm still questionable on that. The Tua-led Dolphins up against Justin Herbert and the LA Chargers at SoFi Stadium. Looking at it, should be a good game. I can't. I want Justin Herbert to look good, but he has floundered so much with the Chargers under the bright lights. Tua was a great quarterback until he got 3 concussions last year, which honestly, that man needs some protection. Tua's going to be his own worst enemy if he actually does continue playing. Like, I know ESPN matchup says Chargers win, but I think the Dolphins. If Tua's starting and that O line actually protects him, having Waddle, I think the Dolphins will be the better team. I think the Dolphins matchup wise is a better team. Heading in to New England now, where they will be hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. Don't get me wrong. It's always a good time seeing the Patriots lose, and that's what's going to happen here. Justin Hurts, honestly, is leading an Eagles team that's going to win the NFC. They're going to win the East. I don't see the Cowboys doing well. I don't see the Giants competing, and the Commanders, they're going to flounder. Because okay, New England since Brady's left has done nothing. I think it wasn't Bill Belichick. I think it was Tom Brady that led that team to so many Super Bowls. Mac Jones, I can't trust that quarterback. So Eagles, it's gonna be a stomping, no question about it. Next, we have the LA Rams taking on the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Stafford. That's what this jersey is a Stafford jersey. Oh, that back of Stafford. And the back of Stenson Bennett. I don't trust that. Akers is a great running back. Cooper Kupp's questionable for the game. Should be around. So we'll see. odd. But at the same time, Seattle, I know it's Pete Carroll, Geno Smith as quarterback. ESPN has Seattle winning this game. But in all honesty, I think my bias towards Stafford is showing. I think as long as Stafford's healthy, I'm going to go Rams. I feel like I'm going to be wrong on that pick. I'm definitely writing these down, and we will start literally next week roasting me if I'm wrong in some games. So, but I'm going to go Rams. Heading in to an NFC North division rivalry, one of the oldest rivalries in the NFL. The green incarnation of the devil himself against the Bears. I was trying to think of how to make fun of the Bears, but I had nothing. This game is a 51-48 split for ESPN. The last 420 game of the weekend. Justin Fields, I don't trust. I don't trust any quarterback out of Ohio State. They're a system quarterback that only works there. So I don't trust it. I think he's going to have a bad year. They didn't really give him many weapons. But then I look over at the other sideline, and it's the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers, for the longest time, was the Band-Aid for that team. That team was not good, and Rodgers carried it. So it's like, is Jordan Love going to be good? I think he's going to be bad. Who's trying to think of like who's the bigger threat this year? And honestly, the Bears. So I'm gonna go Packers. That was a horrible taste in my mouth. I rooted for two division rivals to win this week. Heading in to the Sunday night game. The Cowgirls of Dallas head to the MetLife Stadium to meet the New York Giants. I know. Dak Prescott, hell of a QB. Daniel Jones, I think last year was a flash in the pan. My mind wants me to go Cowboys just because statistically the Cowboys are on paper a better team, having Tony Pollard and all that. But the Giants did get Barkley to agree to a deal. And I always loved rooting against the Cowgirls. Give me the Giants. I don't like the Cowboys. They're not a good team. And they have offensive tackle Tyler Smith questionable right now. That's not good. And now heading into the Monday night game before we talk about, in my opinion, the biggest game of the week. We head to the Monday night game, which is kind of odd that there's only one. Normally they have two, but I guess week 2 is where they're planning to have the 2 games. Another game at MetLife Stadium. And this one is the Buffalo Bills taking on Aaron Rodgers led New York Jets. Now, don't get me wrong. Aaron Rodgers, heck of a QB when he was with the Packers. New scenery should be great. But I have the Bills winning the AL East. I mean, the AFC East. Wow. I love how I keep using baseball terms. The AL, NL. And it's like, no, it's the AFC, NFC. I have the Bills winning the AFC East. I hate Aaron Rodgers, to be honest, even though he's no longer in the division. I wish he was so we could keep crushing him as the Lions fan. But It's going to be the Bills. Bills are going to come in looking hot. Josh Allen's going to play an amazing game. Honestly, I'm going to be impressed because if I'm not mistaken, the Jets and Giants now are having their logo on the field instead of it being the shield. So best of luck to that grounds crew in 15 hours to switch over the turf. That'll be fun. But now let's sit and talk about the game that, in my opinion, is high stakes. And that is the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Detroit Lions tomorrow night, 8:20 on NBC and Peacock. Coming in, Chris Jones, reserved DNR. Don't know what that means, but that's what's listed. Travis Kelce's questionable. L'Jarius Sneeze questionable now. Kadarius Toney's questionable for the Chiefs. Like that, a tight end, the best tight end. You're now missing a wide receiver. Sneed, I believe, seems to be on the track to play, so they got their corner. Lions right now on the injury report, missing JMO for suspension, and Emmanuel Mosby's questionable, but Mosley is sounding like he will play. I know Isaiah Buggs is not playing. The Lions have already said he's not playing this week, so that's unfortunate. But like, looking at it, the Lions have a chip on their shoulder. We are heading into Arrowhead. The NFL is putting the spotlight on us, going, prove that end of the season, the 8-2 run you had, isn't a fluke. And the Chiefs, at halftime, are gaining their rings. They're raising that banner. If Dan Campbell is the real deal, which I think he is, the Lions need to come out with Montgomery and Gibbs and just punch the Chiefs in the mouth. Don't play the Chiefs game. I feel like the Chiefs are going to be slow, methodical, burn the clock, especially if Kelce is out. Because Mahomes, if he holds it for 4 seconds, his go-to guy was Kelce. Now Kelsey's gone. What is Aaron Rodgers going to? Mahomes going to do after 4 seconds? Going to run. That's going to kill the clock even more than a pass. So I'm going with the Lions. I know that's my heart speaking, but looking at it in my head, I'm leaning towards the Lions also. I know Arrowhead is scary. The line has now moved by Caesar Sportsbook to 4.5 for KC. I mean, they might win. Over unders at 52, so we will see. That line's moved again, and I'm not happy by that. Maybe it'll move again tomorrow when the who's in and who's out are official. So we will see. Oh, a video on ESPN just shows Andy Reid giving an update on Kelce. I don't know how old this is, so let me see what Reid says to give you my thoughts. Oh yeah, ad. Gotta love the ads. So much fun. But yeah, if they're doubtful, honestly, if I'm in that position, hyperextending the knee, I would sit Kelce. I'll go. We have 10 days rest soon. Oh, this is from yesterday. Okay. That was from yesterday. Never mind. But yeah, Dan Campbell says there's no extra emphasis to win the game. Olasky says losing Kelsey's a big thing, bigger than losing Chris Jones. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. It's gonna be hard hitting, but my mind, even though it's siding with the heart, going Lions, I have a feeling we're gonna see some new rule, some new rule is going to be found, and it's going to burn the Lions on the national stage. If I'm not mistaken, one of the last times I remember the Lions actually having a true primetime big pressure game was against Seattle, where we found out 2 days later, you can't bat the ball out of the back of the end zone. But it still didn't matter because the Lions lost the games. We can't change the results. So, oh well. Honestly, ESPN, Netflix, why don't you guys do a sports documentary about all the rules and heartache the Lions have been through? At this point, it's like a rite of passage for a Lions fan to state off what you've been alive for. Have you been alive for the illegal bat? Yep. Were you there for the runoff? The 10-second runoff that killed us against the Falcons. I love that one. How about what is a catch? That's fun. Des Bryant running on the field without a helmet to argue a pass interference call. That was pass interference that the NFL said was pass interference later on. In a playoff game, don't forget. So we got that. Before my time, there was a player mowing his lawn that died. Got hit by a car mowing his own lawn and died. We had a player die on the field. Like, you trace Lions history, there's a bunch of things that was just like, wait, that happened? No way that happened. No, you're making that up. Wait, you're right? This team has suffered 2 illegal hands to the face. Weren't hands to the face. Phantom face mask on Aaron Rodgers for that stupid Hail Mary that they love to replay. When on that exact same play, when they zoom out, you see this Chris Averill getting tackled by the offensive lineman of the Packers and being held down. Holding. But we gotta let the Hail Mary happen. I've been burned by this team so much. There's a reason, Lions fans, we have started pointing fingers at the refs and getting upset with them. Because we always tend to be the team that gets burnt by the refs. Don't get me wrong. Every team gets burned by the refs. But what is a catch? Illegal bat. 10-second runoff. All 3 were not a thing until it happened against the Lions. There's a reason they call it the Megatron rule. Have possession, both feet on the ground as you're going to the ground. There's a reason for that. I'm heading down a dark path talking about Lions misery. Yeah, this is gonna be a shorter episode of the pod. Not much happened sports wise that I wanted to talk about this week. Next week we will be live. I'll be roasting myself with the picks. We'll be live probably tonight over on Twitch and the YouTube. So come hang out later. I will be live tomorrow if you're more interested in just sports. Watching the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Detroit Lions. That will be fun. I'll have a little graphic above my head with the scoreboard and all that. So we will have some fun breaking down the start of the NFL season. So, as always, please like and subscribe if you enjoy this. And I will catch you all soon. Peace.